What is up, everyone? It's your girl Tabs here with Keeping Tabs, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be back on YouTube. My plan going forward is to post at least once a week, talking about all things WWE, Monday Night Raw, NXT, Friday Night Smackdown, PLEs, all that stuff, breaking news, anything we can get our hands on. Also, I'll be mentioning some of my favorite sports teams right now as football season has come back. Florida Gators, Jacksonville Jaguars, those are my top two teams. No, the Jags aren't the best, but hey, it looks like we are going to get that dub today against the Panthers. My Gators suffering a bad loss, but we're 1-1. Got a tough schedule looking forward, so I'm sure I can talk plenty about that. Only thing I want to say about the Gators quickly, Billy Napier, come on, bro. We just got those mistakes, those penalties. Well, we gave them 30 free yards so they could go and kick that game-winning field goal. So that's all I'm going to say right now. But once again, YouTube is focusing on WWE recaps. I'll have a little list with me each week that we can run through. And yeah, guys, make sure you go follow me on TikTok, though. That is where I go on, and I talk about anything and everything. I talk about reality TV, obviously WWE, sometimes AEW, all things wrestling. I'm a big soccer fan as too. I don't really talk about it too often, but I do love soccer, football, basketball, whatever it could be. I am trying to talk about anything and everything, and I would love to hear y'all's input. Give me your feedback. What do you guys want to talk about? Like Cody Rhodes says, you know what I'm saying? What do you want me to keep your tabs on is what I'm saying. So let's dive on to the list that I got here, and let's get into it. So obviously the biggest thing that happened this past weekend was AJ Lee returning to WWE, first time in 10.5 years. What an incredible return this past Friday on SmackDown in Chicago. It all made sense. It made perfect sense. They were teasing it perfectly. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, you knew it had to be AJ Lee. Wife and husband, there was no other answer. I loved how he teased Bayley, the Eradicator, Rhea Ripley. It was beautiful. And that music hit, and it was just, I'm gonna be like The Rock. I had full body chills. I was crying, happy tears. It was absolutely incredible, man. I will say it was absolutely incredible, and once CM Punk returned, I knew there was just a little tiny possibility AJ Lee would return. And hey, here we are 2 years later, almost 2 full years later after CM Punk returns, and we got the AJ Lee return. So she signed a multi-year deal with WWE, so we're getting a full-time AJ Lee here, and we're going to be seeing her on Monday Night Raw coming up. So the only reason she was on SmackDown, obviously, it was in Chicago, so it made sense. But her and CM Punk will be on Monday Night Raw together. Power couple once again. Again, I'm super excited to see how this plays out. There's so many potential dream matches, so many potential storylines we can get into with AJ. I mean, just thinking of it, Becky, of course, with the IC title. Rhea freaking Ripley, dude, that would be an insane matchup. Nikki Bella again, they could run that back. Maybe Brie Bella eventually comes back. Who knows? Obviously, I'm very interested to see when Paige, aka Saraya, would potentially come back to WWE. I think she could come back in 2026 potentially, but I am excited for that, potential. Obviously, other people like Lyra Valkyria and another great young talent, Roxanne Perez. We all know that's going to eventually happen. Roxanne really looks up to CM Punk and AJ Lee. AJ Lee's probably the number one reason why Roxanne started freaking wrestling, if we're being honest. People I'm pretty hopeful that she gets some matches with is maybe like a Bianca Belair, Stephanie Vaquer, obviously Liv Morgan when she returns. So there's a ton of people I want to see AJ Lee wrestle against this coming year, or these coming few years, hopefully. I'm not sure how many years that contract is, 2, 3 maybe. I'll take what we can get, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, we will see here Monday Night Raw. I think on Monday they'll officially name that mixed tag match for Wrestlepalooza. Speaking of Wrestlepalooza, there's a couple matches that are officially announced now. Lesnar and Cena is official for Wrestlepalooza. I'm not the too biggest fan of this whole situation with Brock and Cena, but I guess we shall see how it plays out. Obviously, Stephanie and Io is also official for the Women's World title as it's currently vacant with Naomi. Side note, you guys got to go follow Naomi on X, aka Twitter. I still call it Twitter, but Go follow her on Twitter because she is so freaking hilarious. She is crashing out with the AJ Lee return, and obviously she's out with her pregnancy, so I'm sure we'll see a lot of funny stuff on social media from Naomi per usual. And maybe now she's going to crank it up because she can't get in the ring. So excited to see all this Wrestlepalooza stuff build up. Other matches, obviously, we think could happen is Cody versus Drew. That's interesting. Maybe triple threat with Randy somehow. I don't know. And then Sami Zayn said he's going to be doing U.S. challenge or open U.S. challenges now that he's the U.S. champ. So maybe he's on Wrestlepalooza. I really, really want to see Aleister Black versus Damian Priest in a stipulation match, whether it's like an I Quit match, street fight, steel cage, Hell in a Cell, whatever it could be. Aleister Black, Damian Priest need a PLE matchup with some type of stipulation. And I think this Wrestlepalooza debut of ESPN PLEs, I think it would be a great opportunity to have that. And they're definitely stacking that card no matter what because it is the debut on ESPN. Tag titles too, whatever, women's tag titles, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown tag teams, interested to see how that's going to play out. The Friday Night Smackdown tag division has been absolute fire lately. Speaking of the tag division, the Usos reuniting. That was very, very interesting this past Monday. Jimmy Uso finally coming out to save Jay. I really think they're obviously setting up the Brawns versus the Usos. Is that going to happen at Wrestlepalooza as well? That would be a great PLE match, I believe. And again, they're really stacking that PLE. Wrestlepalooza is the debut on ESPN, like I said, 3 times now. So interested to see how they're going to build that card. How many matches are we going to get is very interesting. I think Evolution had 7, correct? And that showed like the pacing was good. So I think they could have 7, 8. I think 8 would be a pretty cool number, but guess we shall see. Speaking of Sami Zayn, though, the U.S. title is now Sami Zayn's, defeating Solo Sikoa. Interesting the way that he came out on John Cena this past Friday on SmackDown. Obviously, it's a cool moment because Sami debuted on the main roster against Cena in a U.S. Open challenge, so that was cool. And I love that Sami Zayn is going to be continuing that legacy of the U.S. Open Challenge. Also, I just love both of them. It was and that was a really good match too. It was a really cool match. I thought, Cena's continuing to play homage to all of these past opponents that he can't share the ring with one last time. So he's, doing all these cool moves and all that. So I'm really excited to see how this all plays out with Sami Zayn though. It looks like Mello might be somebody he's going to face in the future. But Miz and Mello is kind of interesting, kind of not. But I think Mello potentially could be the one to take that title from Sami. Another thing I need to mention is the AJ Styles Dominic Mysterio feud has seemed to continue on, obviously, as Dom beat AJ once again, retaining the IC title. El Grande Americano kind of jumped in there. I really didn't like that. I really didn't like that interference from him. I think we're getting AJ versus El Grande on Monday Night Raw tomorrow, so interested to see how it plays out, but I think AJ really needs to take that title from Dom so that he can go on one last run before his retirement. He did post recently. He said it. He's been pretty verbal about it, but he did post recently kind of like a little hourglass thing, and it seems like he's just got a little bit left. Maybe just 1 year. Maybe just one more WrestleMania. Who knows? So interested to see how that plays out. I, again, really want AJ to get one last title run. He still looks pretty good in the ring, but I'm sure his body doesn't feel like he did 20 years ago. So, continuing on Monday Night Raw, the whole Asuka, Kabuki Warriors tension with Io Sky. Very interested there. I think Rhea Ripley is still playing a part in that also, so Rhea versus Asuka would be really cool. Or if they did a tag team matchup of the Kabuki Warriors versus Rhea and Io, I would not mind that at all. That would be pretty cool. Also think that the WWE is trying to stack the women's tag division a little bit more. Also just keeping some of them away from the main event scene because it feels like we've just constantly seen Rhea there. We've constantly seen Io there, for the last year, 2 years or so. And with Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, the tag champs, I think they're trying to stack that women's division a little bit. So a team like the Kabuki Warriors with Kairi Sane and Asuka, they're both, big names. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, that's a big-time tag team right there. Obviously, we still have the Judgment Day with Raquel and Roxanne, so pretty interesting. The women's division's looking a little bit better, even though they cut a bunch of them, 3-4 months ago? So interested to see how that's going to play out. Jumping over to Friday Night Smackdown real quick, I do want to mention Julia, the United States champion. She did retain against Mi Chen, and the whole Kiana James being her little manager, lawyer, whatever. I'm not too sure about this character arc for her. Julia's obviously so good in the ring, and her and Stephanie had some good stuff down in NXT, but I'm just not really feeling this on SmackDown. I think they need some new players for that SmackDown mid-card division. Now, I really thought Jordynne Grace was going to get called up and go into that Friday Night SmackDown US title division, but I don't know. And, ever since they took the title off of Chelsea, it just really hasn't been too interesting in my opinion. So I just think they just need a couple new players there, a couple new superstars that can compete with Julia and really get that U.S. division going and just get some new stuff going there. And I just want to mention quickly a couple things from NXT because I am a weekly NXT watcher. I really believe NXT is the most consistent show WWE puts on. Shawn Michaels is so good with his timing, his pacing, everything. Like, he covers men, women so equally. I really enjoy it. Obviously, Obafemi's our NXT champion right now, and his next opponent will be Ricky Saints. Evans is still playing a factor, it seems like, but him and Josh Briggs now have a little feud going on. So, again, I think NXT is really fun. Obafemi is such an incredible in-ring performer. He's great on the mic. Same with Ricky Saints. So, interested to see this matchup coming up that they have. Also important to note that the WWE Speed titles are now on NXT, and they are hosting some tournaments here before the next PLE to set up some opponents for Mr. El Grande, who is the men's speed champion, and Sol Ruca, who is the women's speed champion. I'm also really enjoying the Last Legend Jada Parker feud that they have down in NXT. Those two are very good talents in NXT. Last Legend seems to be almost main roster ready, in my opinion. And I think Jada Parker is someone that could easily take the NXT Women's title from JC Jane. So interested to see how that plays out there. Really cool to see DIY back in NXT as they came and interrupted the TNA World Champ Trick Williams. Also have to mention my girl Blake Monroe, who's my absolute fave right now. Jordynne Grace and her are still feuding a little bit, so interested how they continue to play that out, as Blake did get the win at the PLE at Heatwave, but seems like Jordynne is getting those smaller wins here and there. So yeah, guys, that's my little NXT recap. That's our little recap for WWE this week. Once again, though, the plan going forward for the YouTube channel is to do some WWE recaps with the free shows, including Monday Night Raw, NXT, Friday Night Smackdown, and of course, any PLEs. Maybe we'll pop an extra episode in on the YouTube, or just make the episode a little bit longer that week. And again, I'd love to hear any of y'all's thoughts and feelings, any of your feedbacks. Again, don't forget to go follow me on TikTok if you want to get that daily action, those daily thoughts and opinions from your girl Tabs. But once again, thank you guys for coming to the YouTube and joining. And as always, don't forget to be keeping tabs.